everyone. Welcome to another bingo tutorial, this one on bingo collection goals, which are some of the most difficult and fun goals in my opinion. For a newcomer, it can be extremely intimidating because a lot of these goals are very long goals. I have a list of goals on the left with the X where, there's a lot of different possibilities, often on the long side. So I thought I'd just go through them. This is another just one take, kind of off the cuff video, which will try to cover as many of these goals as possible in depth. So I'm just going to be playing as well as the background. So the first one is different skulls. And the general theme for all of these is to kind of identify what the cozy slash, normal baseline stuff that you're going to do. And for different skulls, it can be anywhere from like 15 to 30. 15, 20, and 30 are all current goals. 30 used to be very popular and broken. It still pops up a decent amount. And it can be kind of intimidating. So I started off here just kind of right at the bottom of the well. I have bomb shoes, but you don't even need bomb shoes. You just have a bottle and a sword. That's honestly fine. So I'm in night pack right away. There's more skulls as child. More areas have them at night, and also there's soft soils. So that is pretty common to see. We're going to spend a whole night cycle before we go adult collecting some skulls. So CAC is a great place to be. CAC is great for a lot of things. It has technically 7 skulls as child, but usually just 6 are ones that you can get pretty quickly as child. So we're going to do those. And so it is very intimidating to just think about 30 skulls off the bat. But if you kind of have like a baseline, okay, I'm probably going to do this number of skulls as child and this number of skulls as adult. Let me actually go over here. I'm going to save warp after we finish up here. Also, not going to be trying to play too optimally, just kind of some basic stuff here. So I've got 4 skulls already in this area, and then we'll go to the graveyard. Last one. 5 in there. So for skulls, you can think of, there's 6 in CAC, and then we're going to reset to Kokiri Forest and get a few more. But it's always about just getting a baseline and then working up there. In the case of Skulltulas, a lot of area works, but also dungeons work really well. Because there's so many other Skulltula goals, like dungeon Skulltulas or area Skulltulas, it's pretty rare that you'll have a row where you just need to get 30 skulls by itself. So sometimes 30 is even better than like 20, because with 30 you're kind of committing yourself to getting a lot of skulls. It's going to be one of the longest goals in the row, and then you can kind of relax and autopilot for a little bit. So in this case there's 6. A quick reset here. And now I'll skim over a little bit of what you have to do here. It's mostly the same. Nice cutscene here. I'm playing on GZ again. With the input viewer on the game feed, and the numbers are for practice ROM OoT. Great way to practice. I have a few states set up here for the different goals. The first one is for skulls, but yeah, I mean, for skulls, it's not too bad actually. It's actually quite cozy. So that's the thing. Like, a lot of the collection goals are pretty long, and if you are avoiding them, then you're going to be stuck with kind of the more difficult dungeon goals, like feeding spirit, or having to do a long thing that's in a single place. Collection goals are nice because they're spread out across different areas, and they can kind of be switched out depending on what your row is. So I got that soft foil. I climbed up here, but actually it's not correct. I want to get. We waited for nighttime also, so we can get this skull back here, which is only here at night. The soft soils are any time of day. This other great first one. So, speed it up a little bit. Maybe we'll even switch gears after. But there's 2 more soft soils in Lost Woods, and then there's one on the ladder in Zor's River. You'll do Aqua Escape again, and then if you didn't get the tree skull on the way down the first time, you can get that. That should put you at about 12 skulls, and then you get the lots of pots room, which is right before main market. That's 13. Sometimes people also, I got shields here already from the shields and bombs. Well, there's a skull right by the Hylian shield chest, so sometimes people talk about 14 skull RTA. People get really good at that, just doing the same thing over and over. Show off something a little more advanced. We do have bomb queues, you can do a few passes. Nice. He actually makes it pretty nice. So yeah, the 14 skull RTA is a pretty common thing as a child, and then you only have to worry about, well, the remaining half or so as adult, and then as adult, there's another few common areas to go. If you're doing a row where you are not doing trade quests beyond Food Bureau, or not at all, then you can actually just, your time of day will work out a lot nicer. That's the other main thing I want to mention. Maybe we can even show a little bit of it. If we work as adult to, let's say, tag. So let's pretend I did all of early adult, getting hookshot. And let's say I also got bombs. It's going to be early nighttime, like it is right now. Sorry, I'm going to cheat a little bit. Load up here. So you have a decent time of day. Maybe you did a little RBA. Then there should also be this skull. I also skipped the one that's on the trail. You get that. With hookshot, you can grab this guy pretty easily. And then come in here. These are basically the easiest, quickest ones, usually on your route as adult. You come in here most of the time for Bolero or Minuet. There's a skull up here you want to get. Which you can get a hook shop, but I didn't give myself those items. And then the last place I want to show is as an adult. Hook shot, so show off this shotless strat to pass Mido. One ESS, maybe those two. Target and backflip. And yeah, nighttime, there's the two other Lost Wood skulls, which include this one. This one is tricky if you don't choose. You have to like kill it with weird shot, hope to get it, but if you send a two right there, it'll be fine. And if you do two backflips, let's see. Be able to use aim up here. And then you can get the other one usually by forest if you're going over there. And then the very last one that's usually people get on this loop is here. So that's Kupiri's forest. And then other useful places to go: Ice Cavern, Jabu. They have a lot of very quick, accessible skulls. All of those in total should put you well over 20, 25, and then hopefully you're just in a different place. The Valley has two if you're at night. Spirit, Wasteland ones. Dungeons are obviously great. Forest Temple's pretty fast if you're desperate. And you don't even need to go there. It's not such a bad idea. And then just fill in the gaps with wherever else you happen to be. So yeah, hopefully that should explain it for skulls. So now let's talk about hearts, and these next few we could all group together pretty well. So there's actually multiple heart related goals. There's X hearts with no duping attached to the higher ones, because you can dupe heart pieces. This one I like a lot because you can mix heart containers and heart pieces. It also goes really well with RBA, so that's why I have this save state set up right after hookshot. So let's assume you have bottle on E. First one we're going to get is this box skull up here. The other one you also want to get before you go adult is Richard. So a lot of rows you can just go adult and get Richard. If you're hatching the egg, there's a meta where you hatch the egg and also get the two Zora's River Heart pieces without anything but just basic equipment, some rando type strats. So this is my first, but it could have easily been my fourth at this point. And being at a fresh heart container is going to be very useful pretty soon. So the thing that is very nice for hearts is that you can use RBA to RBA the odd mushroom. So this goes really well with Saw Rose because you're automatically or naturally doing the odd mushroom as part of the trade quest from Kojiro to Saw. So you end up getting a bunch of free heart pieces on the way. And even for X different heart pieces, trade quest is really nice. The tutorial classic, missed that negative, and even twice. Just one last roll from Poe. And by the way, almost got every single thing that go wrong. So my time of day is kind of weird on the save state, honestly, but we're not talking about skulls anymore. For hearts, basically what you can end up doing is getting a decent just in this first chunk. So that was the box heart piece was heart piece number in theory 4. I might even want to adjust my heart piece count if I can do that. I can't play this game right now. Okay. So let's say you're going to trade in Kojiro. Maybe I can figure out how to actually set my heart piece count back to 0. The thing about mushroom, which I also explained in my essentials video, is I know that it's here. What is my health? Quest items, heart pieces. Nice. Let's set this to 0. Cool. So we got mushroom. There's been various strats and meta over the years of how to best use the mushroom, get the most bang for your buck. So in general, as a recap, when you RBA the odd mushroom, let's see, right, you will always, no matter what, on your bottled item, set your heart piece count to 1 out of 4. So if you RBA when you have 0, you get a free heart piece filled up. So I said this right. Have 0. I'm actually going to start. I have hookshot on C right now. I did that on purpose. I'm going to drop and catch. Little RBA check. This is going to put a bottle on you guys' air slot. That'll be important later. And then I'm going to do. Actually, here's another trick. You can do a quick swipe. Same way that you get bottle and be the first pick if you want to drop and catch. So that'll set my heart count to 1 out of 4. And now I will proceed with the rest of the mushroom quest. Don't think this time will matter. Now we're at 2. First heart piece. And then we're going to go to get the rest of the ones in CAC. So CAC, if you're doing X different heart pieces, you're not doing RBA. CAC is also where you want to kind of set up your baseline of heart pieces. There are basically 4 in the CAC area, if you count the graveyard box, which we already got. So the other 3 we'll get right now are over here. So if you're just playing it safe, you don't know maybe equip swap, or you don't want to mess around with the thing I dealt with the other RBA, then you should have a pretty generous amount of time, and if you don't, you can press the mushroom or other cutscene item in the air, stop the timer, have enough time to get a decent number of heart pieces. Because if you trade in the mushroom, you won't be able to do the heart piece RBA anymore. So that was my completion of a heart container. Let me RBA this before I forget. I got 1 out of 4 again. And then let's get the windmill one before trading in mushroom. So there's an easier way to get this without, or with swords, so you can jump slash. This one, that was a little initial setup that I've been messing up. But you can also YOLO that clip onto the pillar, and wait for. So we're at basically we got a heart and a half from only 4 heart pieces. Pretty good. And now there's still about a minute left. So If you want to go crazy and you want to, okay, I only have two C buttons right now because I have, fake bombs. So I RBA'd this, the hookshot is here right to get a bottle slot over ice arrows. That means I can now equip swap the mushroom. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the real one on C down, and I'm going to try to equip swap the fake one onto C right. So when you trade in this mushroom, one of the C buttons is going to get updated to the odd push. The other one's going to stay the same. And the way this works is whichever one's further left, down, right, is going to get updated. So that's why I put the real mushroom that I used to have C down. So now when I still have my equip screen, I can unequip the mushroom or the odd potion trade quest item if I want. I just can't equip this ice arrow slot again, or I'll equip over the fake mushroom I have. So at this point, you can continue indefinitely if you want, as long as your heart desires, and keep the mushroom. The tricky part is you only have one C button in this case, so you have to be careful not to equip over bombs, and also not to equip over this mushroom until you're done with RBA. Mushrooms. So this is a nice way to get a lot of heart pieces. So if I were to keep going, go trading, get the saw, maybe I go to Death Mountain Crater, get the 2 there, RBA again, keep on going. And now this is going to tie into where else you can get heart pieces. You start at the very beginning and you're desperate, you can get the Dampe heart piece. Right now there's only 12 and 16 different heart pieces, so 12 is pretty small. You don't have to go too out of your way. When you start to get 16, you might want to do Dampe for more safety, depending on where you're going. Other areas with a lot of good stuff are, again, Gruta Valley with the 2 heart pieces there, Lake Hylia. Something I didn't also talk about with RBA is that you probably want to RBA the Pocket Cocoa. And in the past, I've talked about having the... This on C right, just showed it. It's like in the past, I've talked about having strength with catching bugs on B with the Pocket Cocoa. If you actually drop, then what you'll get is the wallet. You always get the wallet, but you also get the diving upgrade. This is the true gold scale. So strength is cozy if you have certain goals that require you to push stuff, or you need bomb flowers. But if you don't, then getting strength isn't always worth it. Because if you can get the dive meter, it actually unlocks a couple more. And let's cheat again. Go over to Lake Hylia from lab. So in this lab, you can get the heart piece by diving down at the bottom. That's the intended heart piece you're supposed to get from the gold scale. And then also, if you're going out to Gruta Valley, you're probably going to go this way. Head out to Gruta Valley from Lake Hylia. There is a grotto over here. You can get the business scrub. That is a really fast, easy one. You need 10 rupees though. And then the other one I will mention is if you're going up here to Gruta Valley, but then you take a little pit stop first, and you go off this way. There is a tree in this area which has a grotto with heart piece in it. So that is another good one. And then other area which is pretty good is Forest Mountain. Has the iceberg one. It has the ice cavern heart piece, and if you have iron boots, you also get the one bottom. Or boomerang. New trick that came out today, actually. So that is heart pieces, and we are already getting on pretty long. The other thing I want to mention while we're still talking about RBA. So songs. Songs are really fun because they can honestly be done as either with or without Saw RBA. The thing, we're gonna get rid of our fake mushroom. So the odd potion gives you the Song of Time. That's a song. And then if you're in CAC after trading in the mushroom, you can get Song of Storms. Just make sure to get Song of Time first, because if you RBA, then you will delete Song of Storms. So that's 2 free songs. And then when you RBA the Poacher Saw, you're going to get these 4 songs. So that already puts you at 6 songs. So that's 6 songs just for the trade quest. Up to Saw from Kojiro only takes about 3.5 to 4 minutes. So that's pretty nice. And then, you know, Minuet and Bolero are both pretty fast. That puts you at 8 songs. And then 10, which is the longest, most of the time that's Sun Song, and then all the way up to Requiem, which is the longest part of that. If you are going back in time, then you can also get a bonus song or Saria song, depending on the row. But most of the time, if you're doing 10 songs, you're going to be seeing those. I also listed it basically in the order of length, so 9 songs look like this, 8 songs like this, and 76. If you're not doing RBA routes, it's still fine. You know, if you're doing Child ZL, then you might get some of these songs, but if not, then you can usually get up to 4 pretty quickly. Not this, but you know, usually your row is going to have something besides these 3, which are pretty fast. Reach about a minute and a half as adult. Maybe you're going after Spirit, maybe your row has Iron Boots, maybe you want Sun Song, maybe you're going back in time. So that's the fun part about songs. Usually up to about 6 or 7. It's like sometimes you can force in a way to not force Saw, but 7 and above, you're probably going to want to do Saw. You're not going to have a fun time. Last thing to mention while we have Bottle on B is maps. Starting to get into the dungeon items. Maps is really fun. I think maps is probably the most fun of these, because if you RBA some items, you can actually get some maps and boss keys. So you probably want to bring out your trusty chart again. Ice arrows, though, are something that pop up time and time again for stuff. If you RBA ice arrows, you will get stuff in immediately water temple. So head over there. We just RBA'd that. You can already see the map in the bottom right. There you go. And then just for the sake of completion, let's show what you get when you RBA some other stuff besides bugs. Bugs, for the most part, can get the job done. The mushroom, it doesn't matter. Drop that fish here, and also let's drop these bugs. So right now I have the boss key and the map. Catching with bugs on B gets the map and the boss key. When you have the empty bottle, which dropping there gives, then you only get the map. And then catching with fish, covered in my map. Now I only have the boss key. So just something to be aware of. If you got the compass beforehand, you want to make sure to always RBA your elemental arrow first before you get other stuff. So fire arrows and light arrows also do stuff. Fire arrows is fire temple, very convenient. Light arrows is spirit temple, also, you know, pretty color coded. So elemental arrows tie in very well with maps and boss keys. The other thing now that we're just talking about maps, compasses, and boss keys, it's usually going to be quite a bit of dungeon trekking, especially compasses, because you can't RBA anything with those. So in the case of compasses, you know, usually you want to think about which ones you don't want to do, right? There's a lot, okay, depends on the goal, but the longer ones, 6 and 7, you want to figure out which ones you don't want to do. So in the case of, you know, there's 10 compasses and maps in the game for the 7 dungeons, 8 dungeons, and the 2 mini boss areas. So 2 mini dungeons. So let's talk about maps first, because it's first on the list. Maps and compasses are usually like roughly the same length. There's like a couple variances. Always fast is going to be bottom of the well and DC, Dodongo's Cavern. Bottom of the well map needs bomb chews. If you don't want to get bomb chews, you can get the compass, hop right in, hop right out. That's fine. Map is in the basement. You need chews for that. Or an old walking while talking. Then Dodongo's Cavern, which you're usually going to, or you're passing on the way through trade quest. Map and compass, both really fast. After that, there's usually, you know, 3 or 4 of the dungeons, they're very, very fast. So other things that are fast, Deku, both very fast. Shadow Temple, if you're getting hover boots, also both pretty fast. So that's already putting you at 4. And then when we start to get 5, 6, and 7, we have where we are right now, which is Water Temple, and then the 2 in the Zora's Fountain, Jabu and Ice. So in Jabu, the compass is a lot faster. You can get that. Maybe I can even start to go there. Jabu. So the compass is going to end up being faster for compass. You can actually skip the entire Rudo sequence, but at the very least, definitely the part where you bring her back up. For map, you're going to need either Boomerang or some intense QPA hover, so it's usually just going to be the normal loop. So in the case of compass, there's a way to skip the Rudo cutscene right here by doing down A, get hit, fall down, and then you can either get past the tentacles on the left path over here, lead to the compass. There's either a clip you can do with hover boots, or you can get through with just the ferry. Honestly, the ferry is going to be pretty fast. So just walk right through. I can try to show the other mega flips so far. So great. So I did 3 side hops, but 2 work. So this is a trick where you buffer to a frame where you out of bounds slightly like this, and then you're going to target and hold right. Great. So that one's a little tricky. Jabu's starting to get a little tricky. You also have to know how to enter Jabu as adult. Ice Cavern's gonna be pretty fast for the compass, reasonably fast for the map too. A little bit of a troll. And then when we start to look at the 7th compass, we didn't do Deku, then the other one that you can do, Spirit and have ZL is that one. Though the ones that are relatively slow all the time are going to be Fire Temple for map and compass, and then Spirit Temple map, and Forest Temple compass. Those are going to be deep into the dungeons and have certain item requirements. So, what even happens if I fail here? I'm going to reload. So that's the deal with maps and compasses. Boss keys, okay, yeah, I just reload. Boss keys, you can, again, RPA, so boss keys, we only have like 2 or 3 as the goals right now. And the ice arrows is going to be very useful, almost always for getting the water boss key. It's usually faster unless you're already in water with a lot of keys. Getting the fire boss key legitimate is going to be pretty straightforward. That's something that you can do with a weird shot once you are entering Fire Temple. Let's just warp there. We're just going everywhere. Video's long. I don't care. It'll be marginally useful. Fire Temple boss key. Also, opening the door of Fire Temple is going to be pretty straightforward. Then the 3rd place that you're probably going to go is Ganon's Castle. So the boss key and opening the boss key door are both pretty nice. So in most cases, you're probably going to be doing those 3. Otherwise, maybe Shadow Temple if you have a goal in ZL already. Spirit Temple is always bait, trust me, and Forest Temple is generally pretty slow. Unless you happen to be climbing it, sometimes the boss key can be okay. But trust me, Spirit boss key, door, and getting it are both pretty long. So now, these last few are more recent goals and also things that pop up. If you are in a race and you are curious about some of these things, there are some commands, exclamation point, silver, gold, Stalfos for these last few. Again, similar to Skulltulas at the beginning. These are ones that you kind of have to just get a sense of which ones are fast and which ones are long, and kind of by process of elimination figure out what you want to do. Let me also go over here. We didn't talk too much over here. There was a board as well. Might as well talk about that. But this is the bingo timing sheet. It shows you, it's a source of truth for how long goals are. I only showed a few columns here, name and then difficulty. You don't really pay attention to that word. It's just, think of it more as a category, 1 to 25. And then you actually have the time of how long it takes. from a baseline setup in this column. You also have skill, which is going to be worth mentioning because a lot of the collection goals are up here at the top too. A lot of collection goals have skill because it takes effort to figure out these these goals. So there's a lot of collection goals in this section right here. Let's talk about silver rupees. So it's good to know how many total there are, and I'm pretty sure for silvers, we might as well just mention them all. And I'm going to talk about them, I guess, in terms of shortest or most convenient to longest. So you have one in bottom of the well in the basement. Doesn't need choose. You can always get it. That's a fast one. Then you have Shadow Temple. Shadow Temple, the later part of the game is where most of the silver rupees are, so that includes bottom of the well. There's 3 in Shadow Temple. And if you're doing a shadow, even if you're not doing a shadow goal, those are usually ones that you end up doing. So there's 3 in Shadow Temple. Then we start to go into other dungeons. Ice Cavern has 2 that you both basically would do on the way to Iron Boots or anything else in Ice Cavern. And then we have Spirit Temple, which has 3. Actually, let me back up. Before Spirit Temple, let's talk about GTG, which is on the way to Spirit Temple. That has technically 3, but one of them is notoriously annoying and slow, which is the toilet room, the one with the spinning vortex. So technically that one exists, but usually people don't count it. There's 2 that you want to think about in GTG. After you weird try to get choose, you can hop over to the kind of flame platform room, or even if you're not coming from that side, you can, as adult, do that pretty easily with hookshot and hover boots. And there's also the one after the Stalfos room. So there's 2 in GTG that are very reliable. So that's already gotten me up to, I think, 8, right? 1 in bottom of the well, 3 in shadow, 2 in ice, and 2 in GTG. So that's already covering 4 and 8 gold silver rupee room. You have to go up to 10. You have a couple options. Spear Temple, which I mentioned before, has 3. There's one in the bottom of adult side. That one's very straightforward, very easy. There's one on, then if you're maybe climbing up, then you can do the one on the middle, like, or the upper child side. And then there's the lower child side, which if you know how to get to, you can do that one too. That's 3 in Spirit Temple. So in total, we've talked about 12, and now the remaining 4 are going to be in Ganon's Castle. Ganon's Castle, if you're not going to Spirit Temple and you need to do 8 or 10 silver rupees, is a very nice place too, because Spirit Trial is extremely fast, and also Fire Trial is doable without very much equipment, though Fire Trial can be very annoying. Even though there's fairies in Ganon's Castle, you need strength, or you need to know how to do it without strength, and the timer and voiding and Fire Trial are notoriously frustrating. The other 2, if you happen to have the right stuff, is Light Trial if you have ZL, and also a way to get past the block or to lift it with strength, and then Forest Trial, which is usually the hardest because you need a fire source, or you need to do it as child. Do UPA, Big Stick, easier. So that's it. There's 16 silver rupee rooms. 10 is already very long. It's already, you can see, we're at bucket 25 to 25. This is the longest possible goal that fits into bingo right now. And you can also see 3 Bosky doors is very long, 30 skulls is very long, even longer than this. We'll get into that. Now let's talk about gold rupees. So there's 6, that's why all 6 is a goal. Again, going from shortest to longest, we have Arm of the Well, Dead Hand, Hidden Chest. Then you have Cack. Let's see, go over to find that one. Cack is in the grotto over here. Don't know. There's 2 redeads you need to kill. This one has a gold rupee. And then a 3rd one is in Death Mountain Trail. So this one you need Song of Storms for. Lion. So at the very top, close to Goron City, there's a ring of rocks on a little platform. That, if you play Song of Storms, will open up to a grotto with gold rupee. And then the 4th one, so 4 are pretty fast. With gold rupees, 4 are pretty fast. The 4th one is in the back of the maze here, Goron City. So if you have strength, that is definitely best way to get through here. Lift up a bunch of boulders. If you don't, then you probably want to Hess your way through here, or there's also a way to get here from this, if I can remember. Right off to get some momentum when you start the back walk here. This is really funny. Bottom right. Bottom right. Bottom left. Great, so that's this gold rupee, and then the last two are in GTG, all the way at the back with the like room, and in the top of Fire Temple. So the Fire Temple one needs a hover. We were just in Fire Temple. Let's see if I can show this. So you come over to this maze room, you do the normal stuff, block flip. And then you have to hover, or you need Scarecrow Song, or you need Long Shot. Let's not talk about that. Let's just talk about this hover. So this is probably the longest gold rupee. You have to climb most of the fire, and then we're gonna talk about gameplay. Right, so you want to get up to this platform. A lot of people, if you see more experienced players, probably aim for getting right up here. I like to do a baby strap because spatially it feels much nicer to land up here than it is to avoid this wall and not get caught. Even though I'm telling you right now it's slower to go over here. So that first hover you have to backflip and then pull a chew. So that's different from the rest of these, which are way easier. Pull chew, hold down, shield and press A. This is spirit hover chew method. I do not remember how many I started with, but you want to at least 13 or 14. So let me just go down to like this amount. I pull out hook shots, that can really help. But maybe get a little bit more of your bearings, and then boom. It's more intimidating than it seems. Same with going to like Cannon's Castle or whatever, where for a lot of these collection goals, like the boss keys, the boss key doors, the silver rupee rooms, you're going to be going to some places you are a little less comfortable with. Same even with Stalfos, the very last one. So yeah, the gold rupee is up here, and I guess for completion, just do it as we talked about the last time. Stalfos was added recently. There's 15 Stalfos in the game, and the only goal we have right now is 10, which is very long. So you have to be doing 10 out of 15. I guess in this way I'll just mention all the stuff that's on the line, which one not to do. There's 5 Forest Temple, has the biggest bounty. 2 on the bottom floor, 3 on the top. You have to kill all of them. For permanent ones that never go away, you have to kill them all. For any of them to count. The ones that respawn, there's one in Shadow Temple by the guillotines that respawns. There's one in Spirit Temple, Child Side, which also respawns. Those are 2 more Stalfos. So that brings the total up to 7. We've got 5 Forest, 1 Shadow, 1 Spirit. There's actually 2 more in Shadow, which needs the L on the boat. You have to make sure to actually kill them. If they fall off, it doesn't count. That puts you at 8. And then the last 2, GTG, which I have my last save state here. GTG basically has a lot of collection-related stuff. It has ice arrows, which are useful for the RBA. It has silver rupees, has Stalfos, it has gold at the end. I guess we'll end on Stalfos getting the silver rupee. So if you're coming here, I'm going to recommend to you that you have strength. So I'll show up this room. Best path. Got this target a little late, so you don't get hit by the fire. Still did. Might pull you in here, that's okay. And then wrapping up the story about Stalfos. I think I talked about 8. And there are 2 GTG. Usually brings you up to 10. If you don't have ZL, then you may also want to do, or well, you basically have to do 2 in Spirit Temple. So for 10, if you don't have Zelda's Lullaby, you're most usually going to do 5 in Forest, 2 in Gold and GTG, where we just did 1 in Shadow Temple, 1 that doesn't need CL, and then 2 in Ganon's Castle. And then the other 5, which are more dependent on the row and what you have going on, are going to be the other 2 in Shadow on the boat, the 1 in Spirit, and then there's 2 in Towels. These wolf ghosts are a real pain in the ass. If you have nuts, you definitely either want to continually nut them, deal with them. The problem with killing them is that there's a long cutscene. I don't think I picked up nuts, but you know, yeah. Damage. Let's see what we can do. Sometimes it's just nice to be able to take a few at a time. Really nice. Anyway, the other caveat, so there's a way to skip this block, which needs Silver Gauntlet Strength. You need Hover Boots for that. Do a little setup up there, and then a Mega Flip, and then looking for a frame of Link's crotch to pull a different direction. If you can afford having Strength, it works out for your route. I do recommend it. Not too bad. And then the last Gold Rupee is what you get if you kill all of the... I also did my So, yeah. There's other collection goals I didn't mention. I have a whole video on the inventory slots. In the future, we may add more collection goals. There's beans, there's soft soils, there's a lot of stuff, honestly. If we go back to this, you know, a lot of the collection stuff is up here, but you see we've got 4 to 7 compasses, 4 to 7 maps, 5 to 9 hearts, 12, 16 heart pieces, 3, 4 heart containers, which I didn't talk about. But again, you want to think about what are the fastest, what am I usually going to be doing. Heart containers is going to usually be King Dodongo if you're getting real bombs, Bongo Bongo if you're getting hover boots, and you know the boat skip. Goma is always really fast, and then, you know, Morpha if you have Serenade, Phantom Ganon, stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, the nice thing about collection goals is once you figure out compasses, you figured out all the compass goals. Once you've figured out, you know, hearts, you've basically figured out like 8 goals or even more. Yeah, 9 goals. So they stack and build on each other. And in the future, we might add different numbers of Stalfos or different numbers of silver rupees or all of these things. So if you just know as a blanket statement how to deal with songs and like which ones are generally the fastest, then it'll help you a lot, and it'll solve kind of like the biggest part of your row. And then let's talk about this row we have here. Bring it up to the top. Actually, let's go over here. And there you go. So this is just a random board. I didn't curate it at all. This is literally just the first board that popped up. Let's see which collection goals we got on here. We got Stalfos, we talked about. We got Skulltulas, we got compasses, we got gold rupee chests. Wow, we got silver rupees, we got songs. Wow, so we got almost every major type of thing on here except for maybe hearts. That's pretty amazing. So if you don't know these things, then all of a sudden you're locking yourself out of. In this case, let's say, okay, compasses 4 seems small enough. But if you are not wanting to do any of these rows, which have these collection, I think you're already screwed. There's, you know, basically nothing that escapes. So collection goals are, in my opinion, the heart of bingo. They represent stuff you're not normally doing in a speed run. I 100% is not going to even do silver rupees rooms or gold rupee chests. So these are obscure things to normal RTA speedruns, but they are kind of the heart of bingo. Like, let's talk about one of these rows. Talk about column 1 because that has 2 of them. Like, This row is amazing because it's just got so much to think about. And didn't talk about pop outs, but we can also get maybe the row pop outs. Oh man, I don't have a row on this scene. So here's this row that we picked out. And you see that we got over here for the compasses all the 10 and also a tracker for Skulltulas. So, for compasses, this really ties well. And these rows are often very strong. So in this case, you could go with the ones that are very easy. You're probably always going to be in. And then get a bunch of skulls as well. And call it a day is actually very interesting. But yeah, you could do, you're going back in time. This is a back in time goal. And you see it goes together. So you actually only need 16 skulls. Um, if you do those child ones, then that knocks out like basically 15 already. And you're basically just getting a few in forest, which you're doing as part of market skulls, or Deku, DC. But all dungeons have a ton of skulls. So, um, wow, great. I think that's going to be it. 46 minutes, amazing. Hope this was useful. Again, collection goals are the biggest part of getting comfortable with bingo, and just going through this sheet, not even to understand it, sometimes just to like get a sense of like what is long, what is short, is one way to be more familiar and just get a sense of what is going on here. Um, because when you look at your board, you can also start to basically just figure out, okay, we're going to bring it over here again, like what is the long and what is the short part of my row? All the way. So I'll probably talk about this in another video too, but every bingo board basically is going to be generated in the following way. It's going to fill out the middle goal. It's going to be completely random. Then it's going to find the 3 longest goals. So I just had to guess on this board. I think maybe it's going to be these 3, but at least we can identify for sure what the 5 longest goals on this board are. I think. Man, this is actually going to be, this is a weird board actually. Didn't expect, there's a lot of long goals on this board. Wow. But in any case, there's always, every row you do is going to have 1 long goal. If you look at any of these rows, they're going to have at least 1 long goal, sometimes 2 if you have other short goals. But that is kind of the key of bingo. Is like once you knock out understanding the long goals, and a lot of those are collection goals, then the rest of the row is going to be shorter, more manageable stuff. So that's it. Wow. Nailed them all in one video. Even going to be using this as we pointed to all the stuff, but we flew through them. First talked about child skulls as recap, then kind of did trade quests, talked about hearts, heart pieces, songs, maps, boss keys, talked about compasses, and then kind of the remaining collection of stuff, enemies as well. So yeah, that's it. Again, it's been a while since I've done one of these. If there's other stuff that would be useful to you, maybe I'll make more of a like quick cheat sheet doc, which is not as technical as the timing sheet, but kind of gives a brief summary of what to do for some of these goals. Basically this in a different format, which again, we have a lot of resources. See some of my previous videos, there's a bingo teacher, there's TKC's doc, which is very extensive. There's, just streaming and then hoping that someone pops up in your chat, or there's the various discords, Bing Bros, Ocarina of Time Discord. So that's it. I'm glad I got to do one of these. See you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.